If you've seen the new Chainsaw Man movie trailer, you probably noticed that the style has changed a bit. Colors are now simple but saturated, and the style feels far closer to the manga in motion. For Chainsaw Man fans, this is a dream come true, just like the soundtrack by Kensuke Ushio. But personally, not my favorite change. From the very first episode, Season 1 was a unique, grounded experience. Characters moved with weight and intention, light bounced off of heavily detailed environments, the camera felt alive, like it could move freely across any of these shots. When I look at the movie by comparison, I don't feel any of this, but I also don't care. I am not here to tell you that these changes are wrong because the movie's not fucking out yet, how would I know? But instead, I think we should explore what happened with Season 1 and how the hell we got here, with varying levels of accuracy. The year is 2021. It's a day like any other on the production of Jujutsu Kaisen when a young Ryu Nakayama is approached by a strange man that's... I don't know, he's holding a whole chainsaw and everything, it's weird, and Nakayama agrees, but before he can react, the man hands him the chainsaw. I'm pretty sure he then leans in and whispers something along the lines of, "From today, you are Mr. Chainsaw, man."
Because I rip up.
That man would be Keisuke Seshimo. I don't know if I butchered that, but just know that he is a big deal at Mappa, and he was here on a mission. Mappa had just secured the rights to adapt Chainsaw Man entirely out of their own pocket. Production, advertising, broadcasting, Mappa would have to pay for all of it. They might have even had to pay their animators a livable wage, but they weren't quite there yet ethically, so they had to go to Cool Japan Fund for a loan. I thought that name was fucking funny. Keisuke's job was to gather some talent for work on Chainsaw Man's first season, and he wanted Ryu Nakayama there as the series director. For Nakayama, this would be his first shot at directing a full-fledged anime series. So, as you could imagine, he was ecstatic. Anime studios and directors had been frothing at the mouth to get at Tatsuki Fujimoto's manga, and that's because it has such a uniquely intimate quality to it. It's easy to lose yourself in his stories. He's able to pull you in and show you the best and worst of people, even the sides that you'd rather ignore. It would also make the producers a lot of money. So yeah, that's the scope of the project Nakayama was about to be working on. He was just one in a sea of thousands that had been deeply moved by Fujimoto's work, and he just gotten in on the magnum opus. He had the chance to do something hilarious, but he would have gotten fired, so he chose to let his ambition lead instead. It's become common knowledge that Tatsuki Fujimoto, the mangaka behind Chainsaw Man, was a film nerd. You could see it in his paneling, his posing, his angling, like with the camera. Each panel was its own composition designed to build a full cinematic experience in just a few short pages. This gave Nakayama an idea. Chainsaw Man wasn't going to play by anime rules. It was going to play by reality's rules in the real world where we're all stuck to the ground. The little things like the subtle gestures. I said subtle gestures. Power! They even changed the field of view, and people don't mess with that one often. That's how you knew they were paying attention. This was Nakayama's vision. He didn't want to just adapt Chainsaw Man into another anime, he wanted it adapted into absolute fucking cinema. But to do that, he would need the industry's best. So he coordinated with Keisuke to bring them on and worked with Fujimoto himself to keep his adaptation faithful. At one point, he even looked to hire new animators as full-fledged employees. Why is their stock footage so bright? Full-fledged employees meant employee benefits, like a monthly wage, health checkups, and family allowance? Even I didn't get that shit growing up. You mean to tell me these guys got their whole fucking... Through a lot of hard work, careful coordination, and all of Mappa's resources, Nakayama was watching his vision come to life. Then came the trailer. June 27th at the MAPPASTAGE livestream, the entire anime community is sat in, listening intently for news of their upcoming project. Jujutsu Kaisen comes up. Boring! Yawn! Yawn, guys, yawn! They lie about the final season of Attack on Titan for the first time. The panels drag on, Zombieland Saga, Remain, many more shows that I don't really care about until we finally reach their last panel. The screen goes black. Static noise gives way to a skyline of tangled wires and grimy buildings. The trailer's here, and it looked absolutely incredible. Every frame was a painting. Every movement felt like me, weighted and heavy. The dark, grimy alleyways and fickle buildings that were crushing us under the weight of their own fragility, these weren't backgrounds anymore, not even set pieces. This was just an average day in Japan in 1997. You had to see this hype to really believe it. Almost 200,000 people were tuned in just to get that first look at the trailer. I remember during the live stream, everyone started barking and spoiling shit in the chat when it dropped, so I was pissed. But however you choose to look at it, this was it. Chainsaw Man was massively praised, and keep in mind, still a year and a half out at this point, just saying, surely this wouldn't have any long-term effects on the premiere. 15 long months are spent talking up Chainsaw Man. Any other anime airing at the time only seems to exist in service of holding the community over until we reached that fateful day. Finally, on an unassuming Tuesday like any other, it comes. Don't laugh. Crunchyroll is crashed by the amount of people logging on. The entire anime community is pouring in to check out Chainsaw Man to see why this is the most anticipated anime ever. But as they watch on and see the Chainsaw Man make his first appearance, the light in their eyes begins to dim. This dude is CGI! Ugh, yuck, ugh. I figured this would be a major point of contention the first time I watched it, but surprisingly, most people didn't care. Some even praised its ability to switch between 2 and 3D animation so seamlessly. The minority that didn't like it though were far less charitable. They thought that it looked like shit, so they complained. Mappa is cheaping out again. They said they're rushing to meet a deadline. The anime is ruined. Also, I hate baby kittens. That's a direct quote. That's exactly what they said. It's true. But for Chainsaw Man's adaptation, this was only the beginning. With episode 2, Makima's presence barely pacifies the fan base, and for the moment, everything seems okay until... Wait a minute. Do you smell that? Is that cut content? If you go back through chapter 2 of the Chainsaw Man manga and peek between the car ride and the noodle scene, aha! The Muscle Devil is cut from the anime in the most literal way possible. If you don't know, this was a mildly disturbing encounter where the Muscle Devil gets all, I am going to do the most disturbing thing of all. A minor. Denji, kill that guy with hammer. I went back through this episode with the manga for comparison, and they pretty much just cut around it while trying to maintain as much of its context as possible. If you read the manga, it might be frustrating. Denji mentions running away with the girl and the Muscle Devil because he thinks Makima's treating him like shit, an idea that comes up many more times throughout the story. If you never read it, it's actually pretty seamless. You'd never know that something was missing, but cut content is cut content, and you can imagine the response from the community was overwhelmingly indifferent. Some angry posts and articles here and there, but for the most part, the anime community moved on. Chainsaw Man continued. But with each episode, the divide in the anime community would rear its head. Fight scenes were still CGI, people were quick to categorize Denji, and manga readers felt progressively betrayed by the anime's cinematic direction. The hype had long since died, and the fandom was beginning to split. Japan was especially furious with this adaptation, and I mean they wanted blood. Many were expecting the hectic, vibrant, punk-esque feel of the saturated manga covers and the breakneck pacing. Think Dan to Dan, or even cyberpunk edgerunners. So, Nakayama gave us this. Yeah, he was burned at the stake by the Japanese audience. The subdued colors and slow-burning shots felt like an attack on the manga. They insisted he was out to spit on Chainsaw Man's legacy, some going as far as to say that he openly despised anime as a medium and its fans by proxy. That's just to give you an idea of how personal this was for some people. There was even this petition at one point to get the entire thing remade and also replace Denji's voice actor. Yeah, bit of a misfire on that one, but whatever. Nakayama had found himself at the center of something way more divisive than he ever intended it to be, and you can probably imagine how that felt. You can argue its success overseas all day, but for most creators, you're aiming to hit the home court, and Japan was cooking his ass. So, he did what any of us would do in his shoes. He explained himself. Over the course of a good few conventions and interviews, he would elaborate on every last decision, and he was thorough. His words would radiate this pure passion, care, and respect behind every decision that went into the anime. He wasn't just trying to bring it to life, he was looking out for the staff, making sure they didn't fucking die in the process. That was a joke. No one at Mappa has died. They're only dying. But Japan was vicious. Regardless of what he said, somehow they'd find a way to flip it. The CGI was just proof that he was cutting corners. The subdued tone, a byproduct of a pretentious dipweed director. Can you imagine that? Bringing your dream project to life only for your hometown to start, I don't know, chucking tomatoes at it? I don't know if that's a good allegory, but whatever. But complaining online can only get you so far, so they looked away from Blu-ray, actually, and did not buy it. Not like a boycott or anything though, the Blu-ray sales were just that bad. For comparison, Bullshit the Rock fucking killed this show in Blu-ray with over 14,000 sales in its first week alone. Some people use this as the smoking gun to say that Chainsaw Man's adaptation was a failure, but that's honestly still a point of contention even today. Reddit had like a million threads trying to figure it out, and Mappa themselves eventually stepped in to say that it was a financial success, but regardless of that success, the damage was already done. Chainsaw Man's community had fractured irreparably. Looking back, it's kinda crazy to see how polarizing this adaptation was, and it's not hard to spot those ripples years later. The community had cleanly divided into two factions. The Nakayama bros, who are fully on board with the direction he took with season 1, and the Fujimoto purists, those who saw Nakayama's vision as a blatant attack on the manga, its fans, and even anime as a medium, even though he was heavily involved and approved of the anime's direction, just putting that out there. There was also this secret third faction known as normal people who don't care, but they're probably too well adjusted for this video. We'll probably never know what really happened behind the scenes at Mappa, but by early 2024, Nakayama had quietly left them behind. No statement, no goodbyes, nothing. And with that, he went and formed a brand new studio called Andraft. I think that's how you pronounce that. I don't know if it was an escape from what's seen as his biggest failure or his way of starting fresh, but I like to think he didn't look back. Even though he definitely did. This was a fucking mess. Fast forward to December 21st of 2024, and we're getting our first real look at Chainsaw Man's new movie trailer under a brand new director, Yoshihara Tatsuya of Black Clover fame. From the very first shot, the difference in style could not be more apparent. The coloring is simplified, the movements a far cry from the heavy, weighted feel of season 1. To my untrained little baby eyes, it looks like it was designed with a heavy focus on its action sequences. The art looks like it tore Fujimoto's style right out of the manga and refined it for the big screen, so if it didn't feel anime enough before, it certainly does now. The hype is making the rounds, and unsurprisingly, the Nakayama controversy has been reignited. You can even see it in the trailer's comment section, and also on Twitter, if being mad on Twitter still means anything anymore. Chainsaw Man is one of the most widely acclaimed manga ever, so it sucks to see the anime in such limbo, but with a manga of its size, I gotta wonder if the anime ever could have pleased everyone. Fujimoto's writing is already so layered and varied as it is. The manga experience is bound to change from person to person. Is it even possible to get a perfect adaptation out of it? I don't think so. Any one person's interpretation might be the other 50s Nakayama moment. I couldn't think of a better way to explain that, but you get what I mean. The Reed's movie will be great. For that much, I have no doubt, but will it capture the magic that season 1 did for me? Will its new direction be the change everyone said it would be? I don't know, but I appreciate what Nakayama did with season 1, and I look forward to seeing what Yoshihara has planned moving forward, because at the end of the day, I'm just a fan. One of the many thousands out there. Chainsaw Man's adaptation could never have been perfect, but maybe that's why this story is so loved. Its ability to paint such different pictures for such different people makes it so much more than just one adaptation could possibly cover. So maybe the anime doesn't need to be perfect. If it brings us these beautifully unique perspectives on the story that we all know and love, then maybe that's okay too.